Happy Friday, y'all. Check, check, 1 2 1 2. I swear, Xfinity internet is not good. Let me know if you guys have any problems. Today's topics, we'll be talking about internal and external topical authority with our special guest today, George Chasiotis. Again, happy Friday, y'all. How's everyone doing? Don't be shy. Say hi in the live chat. Let me see here. I'm not getting. Let's see. All right, let me see. Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Getting things set up here. Just make sure I got all this going on. I'm not sure why I'm not seeing your guys's. Let me restart this real quick. All right, I think I got everything set up here. Ethan, my man, happy Friday from Denver. Today's topics, we'll be talking about internal and external topical authority. We talk about a topical authority a bunch here. We got a bunch of questions on topical authority. Today we have an expert on topical authority. Internal and external. Let's see what he has to say. My guest today is George Chasiotis. Don't forget to visit today's sponsor, hrefs.com/AWT. And if you can see the logo pop up, go ahead and shoot me an email on how many times you've seen this logo pop up. We got about 6 minutes to go. I see Ethan, Hobby, and Stefan. I'm just waiting. Oh, I see our guest in the back room. Hold on, let me pull him in real quick. George, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Love the mic. All right. Happy Friday, George. I'm just saying what's up to everyone in the live chats. If you want to, you can go ahead and log onto the live stream and say what's up to everyone. Just make sure you're on mute so you don't got an echo. But I will introduce you in about 4 to 5 minutes into the show after I introduce some videos. But we should be good. Oh, your camera went off. I can't see your camera. Oh, there you go. You're back on.
We are okay.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and put you on mute real quick, but you can go ahead and again chat with anyone in the chat. There's a bunch of people out there already. And I will see you in about 10 minutes. All right. What's up, everyone? Happy Friday. We got about 5 more minutes to go. We already have some questions coming in from Hobby. Let's get them. I'll be sure to ask them when we get our guest on. Let's say what's up to whoever's in chat. Stefan, my man, happy Friday. Hobby, what's up, California? Let's funk SEO. George, where are you calling in from?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So I'm in Greece right now.
Greece, nice.
I don't know if you've ever been, but you should be in the summer.
Oh man, is it a summertime right now over there?
Yeah, it's summer already actually.
Man.
It's pretty hot. It's pretty hot here, and I guess maybe this weekend even we will go to swim a bit.
Oh, nice.
It's really hot.
Love it, love it. Yeah, it's pretty warm where I'm at. I'm in Oakland, California, the Bay Area. I believe right now it's like 86 degrees where I'm at right now. All right. Okay, I see a bunch of people coming in. Jeremy, let's go. San Antonio in the house. All right, guys, we got about 3.5 more minutes to go. I see a bunch of you coming in. Don't forget to say hi in the live chat. Don't be shy. Today, we'll be talking about internal and external topical authority. Topical authority is a question that we always get here on the SEO Video Show. Today, we got an expert on it. He's going to drop some knowledge bombs for us, guys. Make sure you get your questions ready. Don't forget to visit today's sponsor, hrefs.com/AWT. Oh, yeah. Hobby says, hey, George, Chasiotis, do you have a blog about SEO? We'll talk more about it. You can ask him when he comes live. All right. I believe George writes frequently on the Minutia blog. So you can check that out, minutia.com.
Yeah, that's right.
There we go. Jeremy says, Greece is gorgeous. Was in Thessaloniki. Oh, I can't even pronounce that many years ago.
Thessaloniki, I guess.
Thessaloniki? All right.
Thessaloniki, yes.
Oh, man.
This is where I'm at right now.
Oh, that's where you're actually at? Oh, that's where you're at. Jeremy, that's where our guest is at from today. Come on, guys, don't be shy. I see a bunch of you out there. Let me know where you're from. Let me know how the weather is. We're going to be talking about some good things today. Awesome things. Internal and external topical authority. Don't forget that today's sponsor, hrefs.com/AWT. And again, if you see this logo pop up, let me know how many times you see it and send me an email and I'll have Hrefs send you a gift package. Oh, looks like Hobby's been in your neck of the woods as well. I can't even say it, sorry. Oh my God.
It's a bit tricky, yeah.
All right, I'll get it. I'll get it one of these days. All right, guys, we got almost about a minute and 20 seconds to go. All right, George, I'm excited for this one.
Me too.
All right. All right, guys, we got 1 more minute. I'm going to get things ready now. I'm going to put George on mute until we bring him in. For those that want to get your shouts out, send them now. All right. All right, guys. We almost got about 15 seconds to go. Looking forward to this one, guys. Don't forget to visit today's sponsor, hrefs.com/AWT. And let's get the show rocking.
Hey, time to get it started, no delay, let's work. Wanna see you be an SEO expert. Paul Andre De Vera, steady dropping knowledge. Over 15 years in the game, so he knows all about it. Master the art of SEO, you will be amazed. Time to get your brand off page to on page. Dropping knowledge, legendary for sure. Whether you're just getting started or self-employed entrepreneur. Yeah, let's go. Subscribe to the SEO Video Show. Hey.
Hey, Hey, welcome to another episode of the SEO Video Show where SEO is alive and fun. My name is Paul Andre DeVera, aka Dre, and I curate SEO videos released in the past week into about 1-minute clips. My favorite part of the show is when I get to introduce my guest, and my guest this week is the managing director of Minutia, George Chasiotis. Before we get started, let's say what's up to everyone in chat. I see Jeremy, Hobby, Ethan, and Stefan. What's up, everyone? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Now let's get on with the show.
This is Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. What kind of fruit do SEOs like best? Low hanging.
Biggest news of today, May 2022 core update from Google Search was just released this week. Be sure not to panic and wait about 2 weeks before you try to fix any ranking fluctuations. This brings us to why this brings me to why we see Search Console graphs fluctuate. John Muller tells us in the latest clip on the Google Search Central channel. Let's check it out.
Well, Google Search includes many incredibly complex and interconnected systems. Even small changes on one side can have a surprisingly visible effect. These changes tend to even themselves out overall, but when looking at individual parts, they can still be noticeable. For example, if crawling from one data center is minutely faster than usual, then that can cause changes to the content we have available for indexing, and in turn, the content shown in search results. Or perhaps you write an insightful social media post that suddenly becomes important, and our systems focus on that a bit more. Either way, any of this can cause fluctuations in the charts. So what can you do when you see the graphs fluctuate like this? First of all, don't worry about the little changes. These are normal for any website. Things go up a bit, things go down a bit, that's all fine. Second, look out for trends. Has the graph been continuously headed in one direction over a few weeks? Then that's often a sign of broader changes overall. And finally, do watch out for big spikes. When the graphs change significantly over a short period, then that can be a sign of a serious change. It might be a good change, but I'd recommend you double check.
I personally will not worry about fluctuations for about maybe 3 weeks before I work on a strategy to bring back rankings. Okay, Martha Van Berkel, a recent guest on the show, sees some positive FAQ fluctuations. Let's see what she's talking about.
This is Martha Van Berkel from Schema App with your FAQ Rich Result Weather Report. We've had a bit of a turbulent April with regards to FAQ rich results. In fact, 65% of our clients saw a decline in their clicks after April 8th. And it was across industries, e-commerce, healthcare, finance. But the good news is actually since we hit the end of April and we're going into May, we're seeing recovery. In fact, throughout April, we saw 50% of our clients sort of recovering their FAQ-rich results. And in the last couple of weeks, we're seeing some actually achieve back to exactly where they were before Google started testing these things. So the sun is coming out for FAQ-rich results, but you've probably seen some turbulent times since April 8th.
Be sure to watch a recent episode here on the SEO Video Show to get some FAQ secrets. All right, Ranking Academy posted 8 tips on how to rank your business. Let's check one out.
SEO tip number 6. Use Google reviews to your advantage. In the video, I went through the most important ranking factors you need to consider, one of which is keywords your customers use in your Google reviews. In a nutshell, when your customers write a review that includes keywords you're trying to rank for, you're more likely to rank in Google search results for those keywords. Pretty cool, right? So if you want to improve the rankings of your newly created service pages, guess what you need to do? Encourage your customers to add the keywords you are targeting as part of their reviews. Our pest control business located in Phoenix, for example, seems to have tons of relevant keywords in his customers' reviews, which I'm sure is helping him a lot to rank for his services. I know what you're gonna say. I can't tell my customers what to write. Of course not. But nobody stops you from making suggestions. I'm not sure which strategy you use when asking for reviews, but If you send your customers an email, just make a few suggestions about what they can write, such as what service or product they use, or if anybody helped them out, and so on. I have a free template you can use, which is downloadable from the description below.
All right, you can check out that link below. Another place I like adding keywords is asking my own questions and answering them on my Google business profile. Okay, another past guest, Matthew Woodward, shares 4 of his favorite link building strategies. Let's check this one out.
First is event link building, which shows you some different searches that you can use to find events that are willing to link to you. It costs nothing to set up, and you can partially automate the process. Next, you might want to consider testimonial link building, which is a great way to get powerful homepage links simply by telling the products and services you use every day what you think about them. You can also leverage podcasts to build high-end links nearly on autopilot by using my podcast jacking strategy. This leverages the basic fact that podcasts need guests and guests need links. So once it's set up, you'll get booking requests direct to your inbox every week. One of the other link building opportunities that many people overlook is with crowdfunding sites. This is a great strategy because it's simple, budget friendly, and takes no time at all to set up and partially automate.
Okay, I'll tell you one of my favorite backlinking strategies. It's finding high authority social profiles or web tools that are currently 404ing and like re-registering them. You can use a tool like Scrapebox to find these. If you want to learn more and want me to show you how, and I'll create a video, leave a comment below. All right, we are now at my favorite part of the show, but before I introduce my guests, here's a word from our sponsor. Are you sick of your competitors outranking you in the search results? Your solution is Ahrefs Webmaster Tools, and it's free $99. This isn't one of your 14-day free trial offers. Instead, it's a super powerful tool that'll do a full website audit for you and keep working for you for free. It'll scan your site and prioritize precisely what you need to fix and improve for your search results. Visit ahrefs.com webmaster-tools for this free tool. Find the link below, and by checking our sponsors, you support this show. Now let's introduce our guest. George started as an independent marketing consultant, but was soon pulled down to the path of creating an agency, where he materializes his vision for content and SEO systems that have heavily based on SEO strategy. In his first free time, he imparts wisdom on LinkedIn or buries his head in psychology books to get down to the why of human behavior. Please welcome the managing director of Minutia, George Chasiotis. George, my man, welcome to the show.
Dre, what an amazing production quality this is. Really, really, really well done.
Welcome, welcome. Everyone, let's give him a round welcome. All right, George, let's go right into it. This is what I always ask. The very first question when a person comes on here on the show is like, in 1 minute or less, how does George get ranking on page 1 of Google?
By creating meaningful and memorable experiences and not by doing what everyone else is doing.
Love it. First knowledge bomb of the day. Okay. Let's I want to go let's rewind this real quick. Take us way back into time. How did you first get into SEO?
So it has certainly been a long journey. I started, I would say I did pretty much everything I could to get here. Mm-hmm. Anything from data entry tasks in Upwork for as low as $3 per hour to creating social media report for Instagram influencers, mm-hmm. To pretty much anything that you can think of. And slowly, after a long period of time experimenting, trying out different things, I think I found something that I really like and that I happen to be good at. It has been a long journey, but I would say that I wouldn't change it because, it brought me to where I am today.
Okay. So let's take us on what made you get interested in SEO then? What was so fascinating about it that made you like it and made you so good at it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that the one thing that makes me makes me very interested in SEO is the impact that it can have on people's lives. And what I mean by that is that I have seen firsthand how it is like growing a business with the help of SEO, helping that business hire people, so people find job and they can, leave their families and bring food on the table. And so this kind of impact, this kind of positive, and in some cases negative impact, if things don't work out well, is what drives me, I would say. And as I say to my team in our monthly call, I try to say that every time so that we don't lose focus and always keep in mind why we do what we do. We are here to change people's lives and not just to create content or optimize title tags or anything like that. And if you think like that, I'm here to, have a positive impact in someone's life, then I think that you reconsider many of the things that you do, and in some cases you do them completely different in a completely different way.
Love it. Okay. So and now that you want to affect positive lives, and then so when you first got into SEO, then how were you learning it? What were your places of learning SEO?
That's a very good question. I would say that in the beginning, because in the beginning I didn't have any clients or very few clients, and I could test very few things. So in the beginning, it was mainly reading and watching videos on YouTube, reading blogs, and so on and so forth. Then after I started getting some clients and having the luxury, let's say, of testing things out by myself and not just read what someone else has done. This is where things got interesting, and this is where I really started learning by actually doing the work.
Love it. Books, videos, and actual doing the work, guys. Okay, so this takes us to where where you're at today, because I'm curious, because you had this journey now to your agency. Can you tell us more about your agency? What you said, you had a few clients. When was Minutia born? At that time when you had a few clients, was a different name? When was Minutia created?
So in the beginning, as I mentioned, I started with freelancing, which then kind of turned into let's say consultancy. It was just myself, and I was just helping clients with anything I could, actually. But then I think I came to a turning point in 2019, I guess, where I said to myself, you either have to find a job somewhere, or you have to create something on your own with the belief that in one day this something may turn into something big. And so I started the agency in 2020 in the second half of January. Let's say I made the announcement, and then COVID happened in 2020 after a couple of months, actually. And so I thought to myself, the timing couldn't be worse. I started a new business. I remember back then I hired my part-time, because back then I couldn't afford anything else, part-time, let's say, employee. And unfortunately, things were not good. But as it turned out, the timing was great, because, what happened and what followed after COVID was an explosion when it comes to the demand for digital services. So long story very short, nowadays we are a team of 10 people. And growing. We serve primarily B2B software companies, SaaS companies, and we help those companies accelerate organic growth. And we work with smaller companies that may have raised a round and are ready to get things started. We help them get from 0 to 1, as Peter Thiel would say. And we also help bigger companies from $1 billion and some of the unicorns that you see out there when it comes to SaaS, all the way to public companies. And so yeah, this is where we are at today.
Congrats. That's awesome. From just 2 years hiring that many people, and you're talking about SaaS, and you actually, speaking of SaaS, you have the SaaS SEO show. I'm curious. Tell me more about the SaaS SEO show. If you didn't know, George actually has also a video show podcast. If you haven't checked it, you can check it on YouTube. Search the SaaS SEO show. Right? That's correct, right? SaaS.
Yeah, it's the SaaS SEO show. And before I explain what the show is and what is all about, I would like to invite you to the show. So that's an invitation for becoming one of our guests. So
love it.
Yeah. So what is the SaaS SEO? So we started it back in December 2021, if I'm not mistaken, with the goal of making it the #1 resource online when it comes to conversations around content SEO, specifically for SaaS companies. We had some pretty awesome guests already, and we have many more great guests coming up next.
Love it. Okay, so now let's get into like the meat of the show here. And I love this because you work with SaaS companies, and working with SaaS companies, I actually want to ask this too, because how are you getting your SaaS clients? How can someone that just started an agency land these huge unicorn clients?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say that for me personally, the path was not the traditional path. I'm a complete outsider, like to the SaaS industry. I have no experience working with a SaaS company as an employee. And at the same time, when I started, I didn't have any connections whatsoever to get those first referrals, let's say, to get started, basically. So it was a bit more difficult, and it took a bit more time. But if you ask me how we get clients nowadays, I would say that it's based on the content that we produce. In many sales conversations, we hear the same thing. We read this blog post that you wrote. Actually, we had a conversation like this, and we closed this client a couple of weeks ago. They read a blog post that we wrote almost 1 year ago, and they just told us that this is what we need right now. And I'm like, okay, that's great. And at the same time, we obviously have some referrals because now we have some network and we have some very good partners. But it was really tough, but we right now we are at the stage that these companies come to us. They schedule a call through the link that we have on our website, and you could call it inbound. I would call everything that we do in terms of growth in the last, especially 6 months, demand generation. And instead of taking the traditional path when it comes to how to grow an agency, we took a completely different direction, and we say that we are not going to write a generic guide on SaaS SEO or anything like that. We are going to do things differently. This is why we produce and publish our own studies when it comes to things that we know are important for SaaS companies. And believe it or not, this creates a perception that we really know our stuff. And I want to believe that we know our stuff. And this helps us have the demand that we have right now.
Love it. Running your own case studies, that will bring you those big clients. All right. So let's get into Topical Authority. Okay, we get this question all the time, and people asking tips on Topical Authority. And this is something that you're actually very good at, right? This is something that you specialize in, an internal and external Topical Authority. For those that actually don't understand Topical Authority, because I have an audience of wide different ranges, can you tell us what Topical Authority is about?
Yeah, and of course, I'd be glad to. And let me say before I begin that as we already know, as we all know, SEO is a very opinionated field. Everyone has their own opinions about what things work, what things don't work, how you can call certain things. So the way I call things and the way my interpretations, let's say, are just mine. Okay. So when it comes to what is topical authority, I would say that building topical authority is the process of helping Google and other search engines, for that matter, associate a website with certain topics that are closely related to the website's identity and overall business goals and objectives. This is what topical authority is in a nutshell.
So why is that important? Why do you think we should pay attention to this?
Well, it is very important, and it becomes increasingly important because Google is a search engine, as we all know, that works with semantic associations. And thus, in order, it has to associate a website with a certain topic to consider it as a trustworthy resource and give it visibility for keywords that are part of that topic. So I would say that if you, let's make it a bit more, I would say, actionable. If you want to be associated because you are a link building software, if you want to be associated with link building, then chances are that you need to start talking about topics and covering keywords that are that belong to this broad topic of link building. But not only that, but you also have to talk about other broad topics that are close to the topic that you're interested in, because at the end of the day, we all want to rank just for a bunch of keywords. For example, in this example that I just shared, that would be link building software. But guess what? If you're going to even if you are going to create the landing page link building software, unless Google starts perceiving you as an authority for link building, chances are you will not be able to get visibility for the term.
Love it. Yeah, I like that point where it's like I like optimizing for topics instead of just like single keywords, right? Because you can rank for thousands of keywords with just one piece of a piece of content that's on a certain topical authority. I want to ask our first question here from the audience. Hobby, a frequent viewer here at the show, he asked his first question. So, what is internal and external topical authority, and how can it be used to improve SEO?
Yeah, that's a great question. So let's start with internal. Internal topical authority, and once again, these are just our definitions and how we like our perception of things. So internal topical authority involves activities that happen on the site. And in most cases, since those activities happen on the site, these are activities that we have more control over. Okay. So this is internal topical authority. External topical authority involves activities that happen outside of the site, and in most cases we have less control over. So what could be an activity that we have less control over? Getting mentions about our brand, and getting mentions that are contextually relevant to what we do. This could be an example of external topical authority, while internal topical authority is something that we can all understand. Meaning that it's something that we have more control over. For example, content creation and going, after topics and keywords that are close to what we want to be associated with.
Love that. Okay, so with topical authority, are you using any tools to help you with establish this? Say internal topical authority. Is there anything something you use to help you to build that?
That's a great question. I would say that internal topical authority, in order to answer that question, we have to take a step back and try to understand what is important when it comes to internal topical authority, which once again is something that we have more control over. And maybe if this wasn't as clear, let me give you an example. I'm going to talk about our own website for external topical authority first, just to get this out of the way. We started getting visibility for terms that include the SaaS word inside them. And our homepage ranks for SaaS SEO agency, actually. Not high enough, but still. We haven't done any optimization whatsoever. Actually, we never mention anywhere on the page the term SaaS SEO agency, but somehow we have been associated with that term. And hopefully moving forward with the broader term of SaaS marketing, SaaS SEO, SaaS growth, and so on and so forth. Why did this happen? Well, my assumption is because we have mentions for that are close to this topic, and so Google starts getting an understanding that chances are that this is what this website is all about. And once again, we didn't do actively anything about it. Now we will start doing, but that's a different story. But up to this point, we haven't done anything, and this is just from external factors that, in most cases, as I mentioned, we have less control over, but they can be extremely effective when it comes to building topical authority.
Okay, tell us that story that you talk about. So what are you guys going to start doing? I'm curious. Like if you guys have got to where you're at now, what are some tips of that you're going to actually start doing that that's going to could possibly help move the needle?
Definitely publish more episodes when it comes to the SaaS SEO solo, because guess what? We don't mention anywhere title tags, meta descriptions, anything of that sort, the term SaaS SEO agency, but we happen to run the SaaS SEO show. And guess what? This helps us associate ourselves with the topic that we want to be associated with. So all I'm trying to say is that in many cases, we have a very narrow focus of how we will achieve things like title tags, meta descriptions, URL slides. And I'm not saying that these things are not important, but let's not forget that they become decreasingly important. For example, title tags in many cases are rewritten on a query level, okay, so that they can satisfy search intent. There are so many other things that we don't think of when it comes to building topical authority and achieving great results when it comes to SEO in general, such as the one that I mentioned, like having a podcast. Of course, it's easier to just build a landing page, buy some links for this page and call it a day, than go out there and do, for example, what you do, interview people, get on real conversations and put a real effort into what you do. But it's an alternative way of doing things.
Love it, guys. Think of alternative ways of doing things. I mean, if you have like a site, maybe create a YouTube channel around your certain niche that can actually bring some juice to it. I mean, I always love to say that Google loves Google and Google owns YouTube. So you guys check that one out. All right. So we have another question here that came in. Well, actually, it's from Hobby again. He just asks, let's see, let me bring it up here. What are some of the best ways to increase external? Okay, we just actually talked about that. Can internal and external authority be used together to improve SEO? Well, we pretty much covered that there too. But he also asks, do you have a blog? And you do have a blog, right? You actually do you continue writing every certain cadence?
Yeah, we publish content on our website, our blog. But I would say that it's not the generic stuff that you will find in many blogs out there. Okay. If you're going to read our blog, you will see things that you haven't seen before. For example, just today, if I'm not mistaken, we published a study on comparison keywords for SaaS companies, keywords that include the VS modifier. Yeah, this is not something that you will find every day. We know that it's very relevant to our audience, and we will take the extra mile to do something more for them, to educate them and advance the conversation around content marketing and SEO for SaaS companies.
Love it. I want to talk a little bit more about some more SaaS tips you have going on there, because I love that when you do the versus content, you can rank for the competitors. The company's competitors, and get that going together. I mean, what are some other like SaaS SEO tips that you can give out there for some SaaS companies? Because not that many people do talk about it.
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say that, as I see it at least, and we are in the position now to see SaaS SEO, let's say, from the lens of many different categories, which means that we can see the game and how the game is played, not just for one category, for example, for CRM software, but for so many different categories. And this gives us a better understanding of what works, across the board. Yep. what works in some cases, what doesn't work in some cases. And not only that, but tie all these things to things that most people don't think of, such as the pricing model, whether or not the company has a free trial, and so on and so forth. SaaS has inevitably reached a very high level of commoditization, meaning that the strategies that you will see out there are pretty much the same. In many cases, it is the same websites competing against each other and doing pretty much the same things. So I would say that in general, for us, at least as I see it nowadays, the solution is to stand out, and you will not stand out. Chances are you will not be able to stand out by creating a blog post that targets a very specific keyword. You will be able to do that by creating what we call it Minutia original content. And original content is extremely important in that sense because it helps you really stand out, which is something that as a SaaS company you need, because as I mentioned, SaaS has reached a very high level of commoditization, and then brand building and all these other things are extremely important. And this is not to say that SEO doesn't work. Like we make it work and we see the impact that it has every day. But if you ask me what's next, well, I think that this is what next, original content for SaaS companies and other companies as well, like e-commerce and so on.
Love it. Okay, Stefan here asks, is like, hey George, do you pick topic ideas from industry related books?
That's a good question. I would say that no, this is not something that we do. Even though now that I think about it, no. We did that in one blog post. We wrote a blog post a while back, which was maximizing vs satisfying a scientific approach to creating list posts. And as a matter of fact, this is something that I got from a book I read. So I guess occasionally it may happen, but I guess it usually doesn't happen. But yeah, occasionally it may happen.
Love it. Okay, speaking of books, you actually were talking about like the psychology of like human behavior. I mean, are you like, is there certain books that you look at for psychological behavior? Because I mean, with anyone that wants to buy something, we need to understand how they think. So I'm curious, like, is there certain things that you're studying on in particular in the psychology?
First of all, I really love biographies, and anything that has a story behind it, I'm instantly hooked. But when it comes to psychology in general, I really try to dive deep into these things, and I'm mostly because I'm curious. I'm curious about how even I myself, make decisions daily, and obviously this is something that can have an impact to my work as well. So I think that reading books is extremely important. And if you are in marketing, I think that reading psychology books in particular, and books about how human nature works in general is extremely important as well.
Love it. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of reading books, guys. And if always understanding the psychology of like, even how people buy is awesome. Speaking of, we got another question here from Jeremy. Before we continue on with a few things, and if you guys have any more questions, please ask them, and I'll answer them get to them in the order that they receive. Generally speaking, how are SaaS clients to work with? Great show, great information.
I would say that it depends, like, every other industry. It depends. We are fortunate enough in most cases to have great clients who respect us, who respect our work, who are as aggressive as we are, and who want to move as fast as we want to move, because moving fast in the SaaS industry is extremely important. So we are fortunate enough, but I can't lie. Eventually you will end up having someone who will not make a good fit for you. Nowadays, we try really hard to understand that during the discovery process, but occasionally it will happen that there will be a client who is difficult. But I must say that we are fortunate enough, once again, to have very big companies that trust us. And in some cases, I really wonder, because I've never been to the US, and I'm not a native speaker. Everyone knows that. So the fact that they trust me and our company is something that I take very seriously.
All right, love that. Okay, so I mean, if you want to, I want to take it back to like you said, like when you talk working with SaaS companies, I feel like there's two different types, right? There's the startup ones that do like want to go faster, but there's also some that have like that red tape that will take things longer to approve. I mean, have you worked with on both sides, or have you been lucky enough to work with more of the startup ones where things can just move as fast?
So we are fortunate enough at this point to have both. So we, as I mentioned previously, we help both companies that want to get from 0 to 1. And we also have very big companies with well-established websites that have different needs. Okay. And I would say, and it's funny that, you asked this question because I presented that and some thoughts that I have about that in a talk I gave a few days ago for the Hey Growth Summit. And I basically explained how we helped a company get from 0 to 100K, what it took, and how we see getting from 100K to wherever you want to get to. And the things that, believe it or not, the things that get you from 0 to 100K, or let's not make it specific, from 0 to 1, let's say in general, when it comes to SaaS companies, are completely different to the ones that will get you to 1 million monthly visits and beyond. And as I mentioned, like we are fortunate enough to have both nowadays, and it's really great to see small companies grow and hire people, and as I mentioned in the beginning of the show. But at the same time, it's great to see very big companies have an impact from the work that you do.
Love it. Okay, I want to dig in a little deeper on this one. So you're talking about high growth, and you said you went from 0 to 100 on certain things. So what are some of the key takeaways that you did to get from that 0 to 100?
So that's a great question. So let's say that we have an early stage company, okay?
Yeah.
And chances are that at this early stage, this company doesn't have paying customers or has very few paying customers. They don't know what the best features are and what the features and use cases, the best use cases for their product and the features that their customers enjoy more out of the product. And they have little to no visibility, no authority. Things in general do not look good. So to get from 0 to 100K, I would say that you need to focus on things like audience research, try to get a very good understanding of the audience, because at this point, it doesn't make sense to get an understanding of the customer, because guess what? In 6 months from today, you may pivot and all your effort and investment may go for nothing. So audience research, at this stage, keyword research and keyword selection, you need to start developing an organic footprint because you don't have that. You need to start building topical authority because you don't have any authority whatsoever. You need to focus on a content for a search audience. In most cases, you need to publish new content because you don't have an existing content inventory. You need to have a high publishing velocity, meaning that you need to publish a lot of content in order to start getting start building topical authority and start getting the visibility that you want and crave for. You need to develop demand for non-branded searches, because at this point, chances are that no one knows your brand and they will not search for you using a branded term. Also, you will have to do things that are not scalable, such as manual link building. And you need to care most about on-site activities that you have more control over. So in a nutshell, this is how I see a company getting from 0 to 1. Now, getting from, this 1 or 100K or whatever and beyond, well, this is a completely different game because at this stage, what are the features that your customers get the most value out of. What are the segments that you serve. So you have a very good understanding, or at least, this is what you want to hope that you have of your customer base. Okay, so at this stage, we recommend doing customer research. You would be surprised how many insightful things you can get just from a simple customer survey. And these are things that are actionable. We started working with a SaaS company a while back, like a couple of months ago or something like that. And a few weeks before we started working together, they had done a customer survey. And we were amazed by the results because we identified, first of all, what seems to be the one use case that is the most prominent one. We understood that we are targeting people who are leading a development team. And our perception of who the alternatives and who the competitors for this specific product were was totally wrong, because when we saw the results from the customer survey, we were amazed to see that, like, what is this product? We didn't even know about that, and people use that, and people switched from that product to our product. That's interesting. And so there is nothing better than going out there and actually talking to your customers, conducting customer interviews, sending customer surveys, and doing anything you can to get to this next level by getting a deep understanding of your audience. So this is the first thing. This is the first thing. But there are many other things. I would say that from 100K, let's say, to go to 1 million and beyond, you need to stop thinking so much about keywords, and you need to start thinking more about closing the information gap that you may have with your competitors. And your competitors are not just business competitors, because you need to take into account all the search competitors as well. And guess what? When it comes to SaaS companies, search competitors are review sites like G2, Capterra, GitHub, and so on and so forth. So you need to close the information gap between you and competition, whatever, obviously, and you have the resources to do so. You need to close the topical authority gap and make sure that you are the dominant, let's say, and you are the solution that's mostly associated with the topics that you want to be associated with. You need to start doing original content, as I mentioned previously. This is the way to exceed that limit of 100K, because this is where we see some companies stagnate, because they think that what got us here to 100K will get us to the next level, but in most cases it will not. And so if up until this point you were just going after keywords, well, guess what? To get to the next level, you have to do something differently. And this different thing that you need to do is to create content like surveys, like studies, like original, like coined concepts, and so on and so forth. At the same time, at this point, you have a content inventory. So you need to start caring about auditing, performing content audits, and maintaining your content and performing updates instead of just creating new content. You need to continue, of course, having a high content creation velocity, high publishing velocity, sorry. Okay. But you need to, as I mentioned just now, you need to start caring about updating as well, because the same way you have built up to this point this topical authority, you need to maintain it, and you will maintain it by making sure that you update something when it starts losing visibility, losing authority, and so on. At this stage, I have 3 more things. You need to increase the brand value, because in the beginning it was important to get visibility for non-branded terms, but at this point you have to make sure that people call you by name, let's say. They know you, they know that you are a prominent player in this category, you are part of the conversation. You need to start doing link building a bit differently, meaning that you can't rely on manual link building, because you need scale at this point, which means that you have to start doing I would say, engaging in activities that will allow you to acquire links passively. And last but not least, you need to, employ digital PR, which, touches upon many of the things that I just mentioned, in order to make sure that your brand is highly recognizable. And in the eyes of Google, when it comes to this category that you are competing at, you are one of the most prominent players.
Wow, that was a lot to digest there, guys. Be sure to make sure you rewatch that whole portion. That was some great tips and great knowledge bombs that was dropped there. I'm coming very close to time here. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask them in live chat. But I'm gonna go ahead and ask my last question before I let you go. Is like, if someone wants to get into the SEO industry, become an SEO professional, what would your advice be to them?
It's hard. It's super hard because I experience it every day. But my best advice would be go work at an agency. It will open your eyes and it will teach you everything that you need to know.
Love it. And are you hiring? Can people come and work for you, if anything?
Yeah, we are hiring, as a matter of fact. And in June, we want to open 10 new positions. So I guess that there will be something for people who may be in search for a job.
Love it. Love it. You hear that, guys? Reach out to George. And how can people get a hold of you?
So the best place to, read the content I produce is at, sorry, give me a sec. So visit our website, minutia.com with double T, and you can see the content I publish there. Then it would be amazing if you could subscribe to our channel, Minutia. We publish episodes on a weekly basis on Tuesdays. For the SaaS SEO show. If you are the podcast kind of guy, you can go on Apple Podcasts or other podcast platforms, major podcast platforms, and just subscribe for our podcast, Spotify, and so on and so forth. And if you connect with me personally, the best place to do so is LinkedIn.
Thank you so much for being my special guest today. All right, can you hold on for just one quick second before I sign off? All right. All right, guys. That concludes another episode of the SEO Video Show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And I will see you next week. Peace out.
Thank you for watching. Hope you come back next week. Make sure to subscribe. You don't want to miss a thing. Hope you learn something new, cause the vibe is incredible. From the special SEO professionals, SEO Video Show. Let's work. Want to see you be an SEO expert. Paul Andre De Vera helping you step it up. No delay right now. Time to level up. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe. Woo.